call this city council meeting to order.
Briggs.
Yes.
Nichols.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Shivers.
Yes. At this time, we are going to save the approval of the May 13th, 2019 regular session till next week and turn to Mr. Slagle for any new business.
Okay, Your Honor, the first thing we do is we have first resolution this evening. Is resolution authorizing the signing of agreement with Rad Baker for the Lakeview Shelter Slab reconstruction. And at the same time, if that's all right, Your Honor, we will have one reading of the letter, because it really covers A and B for the same thing, but it will be two separate resolutions when we get to the contract portion. So to cover what the bids were and what we're doing, we'll turn to Chad Shoemaker.
You need a bill on the floor?
Good evening.
We don't have one on the floor yet, do we? We need to have the bill up first? Okay.
The 2018-19 annual budget contains $119,300 for the replacement of the Lakeview and Lawrence shelter floor slabs, in addition to the drainage system for the Lawrence shelter slab. This number is going to be big because at the time we went through the budgeting process, the prevailing wage law that eventually passed was not passed yet. So both of these jobs were figured as prevailing wage jobs at bid time. After that new law was passed, they no longer were, so the bids are going to be considerably lower than they would have been had that been the case. We advertised the bids in two separate units due to the need for separate trade and the Lawrence shelter drainage replacement to make sure that we had this available to local contractors. If we had a local contractor that was only able to do the flat work, we want to make sure that work was available to them. We provided specifications, location maps, drawings, general detail about the projects in a pre-bid meeting on April 24th, 2019 in this room. So bids were open on May 7th through three bids received. The bids were received for both projects from all three bidders. The total cost for both projects are listed below. Rad Baker Construction, LLC of Fulton, Missouri submitted the low bid for both projects. His bid for Lakeview Shelter slab reconstruction is $16,835, and his bid for Lawrence Shelter slab reconstruction and drainage replacement is $34,235 for a total of $51,070. These numbers do include a scaled number of the total square footage to be able to remove up to 6 inches of dirt and replace it with 6 inches of compacted aggregate if we get underneath either of these shelter floors and find out that we don't have an adequate base of rock underneath them to re-pour. So that number is already included in the number that we're submitting tonight. We recommend that you proceed with the reading and passage of both resolutions authorizing the city manager to sign these two agreements with Rad Baker Construction, LLC of Fulton, Missouri for the Lakeview Shelter and Lawrence Shelter slab reconstructions and the Lakeview Shelter drainage, and the Lawrence Shelter drainage replacement.
Okay.
Why? I mean, I understand why the budget was higher, but I wonder why the bid was so much different.
I don't know for sure, but I do know that Rad Baker is already in town doing some other work, and he's already been mobilized here, so we're not paying any kind of mobilization fee on this, I'm sure. And he's anxious to get the work started because he already has forces in place working here on another project for the city.
So, council, what is your pleasure?
I move for the reading of bill number 2019-38 by title only.
Second.
Briggs.
Yes.
Nichols.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Shivers.
Yes.
Bill number 2019-38, a resolution authorizing the city manager to sign an agreement with Rad Baker Construction, LLC for the Lakeview Shelter slab reconstruction. I move for passage of bill number 2019-38.
Second.
Briggs.
Yes.
Nichols.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Shivers.
Yes. All right. Bill number 2019-39, a resolution authorizing the city manager to sign an agreement with Rad Baker Construction, LLC for Lawrence Shelter slab reconstruction and drainage replacement. We'll be doing it by title only in passage. We've already heard from Chad. What is your pleasure?
I make a motion to read bill number 2019-39.
Second.
Briggs.
Yes.
Nichols.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Shivers.
Yes.
Bill number 2019-39, a resolution authorizing the city manager to sign an agreement with Rad Baker Construction LLC for the Lawrence Shelter Slab reconstruction and drainage replacement. I move for passage. Bill number 2019-39.
Second.
Briggs.
Yes.
Nichols.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Shivers.
Yes. Excuse me. Bill number 2019-40, a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute an agreement with the County of Audrain and County Collector to collect motor vehicle license fees, city personal property, and real estate taxes by title only and passage. Mr. Slagle?
Yes, Your Honor. The county collector for a number of years has been collecting the property taxes, and we've had an agreement with them, and we needed to update that agreement, and to cover the changes in the agreement, we'll turn to Roger Haynes.
Good evening, Council. Kate Becker, the county collector, was unable to be here this evening. Steve Hobbs, the commissioner for the county, is here should there be any questions on their side of the contract. The City of Mexico entered into an agreement with the County of Audrain in 1986 to allow the county collector to send out tax bills and collect the city's personal property and real estate tax. The agreement was revised in 2000 to include the collection of city motor vehicle license fees, and again in 2013 to incorporate changes necessary by state statute. This agreement does provide an efficient way for collection of fees and taxes and does not add any additional cost to the taxpayer. The new agreement, as in 2013, includes a fee charged by the county to the city on current and current delinquent tax payments in the amount of 3%, and a $4,000 payment to the county to compensate the collector for collection, abstraction, and distribution of funds collected for the city taxes and motor vehicle license fees. Currently, there is a 3% charge to the city for collection of back taxes, whereas the proposed agreement fee will decrease to 2.5%. Under the new agreement, the county collector required added language that the agreement would be void should the city enter into a property assessment clean energy program or similar program that falls under the Property Assessment Clean Energy Act. Kate and I did discuss this particular PACE, this program, and it is a very onerous program for them to manage. We discussed whether if we went through the program, if the city could just collect the taxes on that. The state statute does not allow that. It also has quite a bit of reporting requirements on an annual basis. And one of the big catches on it currently is that it is a loan against the property should the property owner want to make an energy efficient improvement, and it becomes senior to any other loans on the property. So there would be many lenders that would not like the fact that this PACE program loan would get ahead of them of their first mortgage or a home equity loan. Staff recommends that council proceed with reading and passage of the attached resolution, and I'll be glad to answer any questions that you might have.
Any questions? Council, what is your pleasure?
I move for first reading of bill number 2019-40 by title only.
Briggs.
Yes.
Nichols.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Shivers.
Yes.
Bill number 2019-40, a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute an agreement with the County of Audrain and the county collector to collect motor vehicle license fees, city property tax, and real estate taxes. I move for passage.
Second.
Briggs.
Yes.
Nichols.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Shivers.
Yes. Bill number 2019-41, a resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement with the Presser Performing Arts Center to assist in providing services to citizens. Reading by title only and passage. Mr. Slagle.
Yes, Your Honor. This is our annual agreement with Presser Performing Arts Center, and to cover the details, we'll turn to Chad Shoemaker.
Thank you, Bruce. The attached resolution authorizes the city manager to enter an agreement with Presser Performing Arts Center to assist in providing services to citizens. The 2018-19 budget allows for the City of Mexico to contribute to the Presser Performing Arts Center the sum of $10,000 for the use in providing programs and activities to citizens. We've provided this level of assistance to Presser Performing Arts since 2002. This has been a very long and very fruitful relationship that we've had with each other. So staff recommends that we enter into an agreement and the council proceed with reading by title only and passage. Stephanie Koulis is here from Presser, and I think she'd probably like to say a word.
So this last year, we were able to raise the amount of events that we've had in the building from 18 to 31. That includes 2 extra productions due to the fact that we have 2 theaters and we can have rehearsals happening at the same time. And we're also able to offer multiple different arts education classes, including ceramics, glass fusion, and summer camps involving all different types of art. And last year we added 2 new camps, and this year we are going to have 4 additional camps for a total of 12 camps. So we're very excited about the growth that's happening and very excited that the city is supporting us in that growth.
I had a friend from Springfield, Illinois, that came up here last summer and took him by there just to show him the outside of the building. And went look inside, and we were given a tour. That's quite impressive. Y'all done a lot of stuff in the building.
Thank you.
I went to junior high there, it really has changed.
We've moved things a little bit.
I graduated junior high.
Well, you should come back because now there's no longer a boiler in the basement, so there's a little bit more room.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. We appreciate it. What is the pleasure of the council?
I move for reading of bill number 2019-41 by title only.
Briggs,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Shivers,
Yes.
Bill number 2019-41, a resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement with Presser Performing Arts Center to assist in providing services to the citizens. I move for passage of bill number 2019-41.
Second.
Briggs,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Shivers,
Yes. Okay, bill number 2019-42, a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute an agreement with the Mexico Chamber of Commerce for requested funding from the Mexico tourism tax. Mr. Slagle?
Yes, Your Honor. We have received an application for funding, and the Mexico Tourism Commission has met and made a recommendation. To cover the recommendation, we'll turn to Roger Haynes.
As Bruce mentioned, the Mexico Tourism Commission did meet on Thursday, May 23rd, and as part of that meeting, they discussed funding a request by the Mexico Chamber of Commerce for a Real American Hero Parade, which would include what we know as the Budweiser Clydesdales, and that would be on Wednesday evening, June 19th. The requested amount for funding was $1,000, and the Commission recommends that $1,000 be funded. Staff recommends that council concur with the Mexico Tourism Commission's recommendation and proceed with reading by title only and passage of the attached resolution.
Council, any questions? What is your pleasure?
I make a motion I read bill number 2019-42.
Second.
Salem.
Briggs,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Shivers,
Yes.
Bill number 2019-42, a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute an agreement with the Mexico Chamber of Commerce for requested funding from the Mexico tourism tax. I move for passage of bill number 2019-42.
Second.
Briggs,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Shivers,
Yes. Bill number 2019-43, a resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement with the Audrain County Historical Society to assist in providing services to citizens. Reading by title only and passage. Mr. Slagle.
Yes, Your Honor. This, again, is also an annual agreement with the Audrain County Historical Society for funding. And to cover the details and the amounts, we'll turn to Roger Haynes.
The current budget allows for the City of Mexico to contribute to the Audrain County Historical Society the sum of $4,900. for the use in providing programs and activities to our citizens. The city has provided assistance to the ACHS since 2000. A summary of events and services provided through the Audrain County Historical Society has been prepared for council review and prepared by Lori Pratt, Executive Director. We have with us this evening both the Director, Lloyd Pratt, and Debbie Tribune, the President. Staff recommends that the City of Mexico and Audrain County Historical Society enter into an agreement and that council proceed with reading and passage by title only of the attached resolution.
Do you have any questions? Did they want to say anything?
I would, Deborah Pennsylvania, as you go. Some of the items we've done this year and added that we've celebrated the 10th year of the Fire Brick Museum, which was a nice round number to know that we're honoring our fire brick legacy. We've taken on helping to judge with National History Day at the high school. History camp, we will be starting next week, and the following week, as usual, we'll be having the dessert reception and the luncheon for the ladies at Miss Missouri. This last year we hosted 50 Years of American Song in the church, and with the church we kind of realized we sort of have a stage in a nice area when it's sunny and it's too hot. We have air conditioning. When it's cold we have heat, so we have a nice area where we can maybe take some of the music that we do in the parks and maybe offer it at other times. Walk Back in Time was successful with our Aztecs last year, Aztec dancers. We were also able to host the U.S. Grant Symposium with the Missouri Humanities Council and the Missouri Civil War Heritage Foundation, and they had approached us, which was quite an honor. And we always kind of end our year with our Christmas dinner with Music to Follow, which was a big hit this year with a former singer from the Branson area who actually did a huge show, and people were excited. But anyway, thank you for your consideration.
What is your pleasure?
I move for reading of bill number 2019-43 by title only.
Second.
Bill number 2019-
Roll call vote.
Oh, sorry.
Briggs,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Shivers.
Yes. Okay.
Vote now.
Bill number 2019-43, a resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement with the Audrain County Historical Society to assist in providing services to citizens. I move for passage.
Second.
Briggs,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Shivers.
Yes. Other business. See, there's a staff report for purchase of a mobile and portable radios for the Public Safety Department. Mr. Slagle?
Yes, Your Honor, it is time once again. It seems like it comes by sooner than we think at times, but to update the new for radios for Public Safety Department, and we've taken bids, and to cover the bids and the details, we'll turn to Chief Rocket.
Okay. These are the radios we're currently using. They were discontinued in 2013. They don't make these anymore. And I know we've had them for over 10 years. That's the radio that I've had since I've been here. And they're starting to fall apart on us, replacing antennas and the little knobs on top. And mine, for example, the LED part's coming off, so I don't know if it's fully charged or if I got one bar left. And mine gets the least use of anyone probably. So we want to replace and upgrade for the future. And to some radios a little more dependable. We want to standardize our equipment. We're kind of cobbled together on some things. I was going to mention too, a mobile is the radio in the car, and a portable is the one that we carry on us. So for that difference. And we'll want to have a sustainable method for repair and upkeep, and that would be covered by a warranty. So right now we've got some ICOMs, some Kenwoods, some Motorola's, and we want to standardize everything and have all of them be the same. So we sent out for bids, and we returned with 3 from A&W, United Rentals, and USA Wireless. A&W is a Kenwood provider, and United and Wireless are both Motorola. Oh, and so, whoops. So you see how the bids came in, and there with that, and that's for all of the accessories, the installation, and the radios. So this is what we recommend. These are the Motorola Mobiles and the Motorola Portables. The Moto Turbo is what the portables are called. So that was wireless, was the Motorola brand, which we really wanted, and it was within our budget, and they serve all of this area, the sheriff's office, et cetera, et cetera. So we would recommend purchasing from their bid. That was in our budget for $55,000. This is 44 plus, and so we recommend to approve the purchase and servicing of the radios from Wireless.
Why is there such a variation between the same radio between Wireless and United Rentals?
We took off a preventative maintenance program on the Motorola's, because it has a warranty, a 5-year warranty anyway. So instead of having, and it was a great, very expensive, precious program.
No, United Rentals is Motorola and Wireless is Motorola.
Right.
So, and they're 25% higher?
Because of the preventative maintenance plan, which they would come and go over each radio every year.
United Rentals would?
Well, yes, and the Wireless would too, and we had asked for a price without that expensive preventative maintenance plan, and that's why we got the 44.
Any other questions?
Both companies got a chance to bid without the preventive maintenance.
They came itemized, right?
Okay. It's just they're so far apart, it just bothers me.
Well, United has a very diverse group of products they handle.
Okay.
It's United Rentals,
Yes.
so, yeah.
Okay.
I'll make a motion we purchase the Motorola's from Wireless USA.
Second.
Briggs.
Yes.
Nichols.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Shivers.
Yes. Now we're ready for the claims.
Make a motion to pay the claims.
Briggs.
Yes.
Nichols.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Shivers.
Yes.
It's just kind of different.
Now for comments from the council.
I'm trying to think. I know we all we enjoyed the tornadoes one after another the other night, but I happened to see a scan of the Jeff City Council meeting the next day. They had to meet the next day, and I saw a picture of all of them, and they were the tiredest-looking people. Of course, they had a lot on their minds. I'm glad we didn't have to deal with that.
I drove to Jeff City yesterday, and with the damage they had, I just thank God that nobody was killed.
That's what I was saying.
They've got water, but it's not like it was in '93. Hope it doesn't get there. Mr. Hobbs, you have the friendliest people working in the courthouse. I want to commend you on that.
We need to work on that then.
Yes, yes. I remember the past. They're a nice bunch of people over there. Yeah. That's all I've got.
I'm just excited about the Clydesdales being here, and I just think everybody ought to, they say on there they expect 2,000 people. I think that's probably going to be some kind of number that'll be there. That'll be kind of exciting. Disregarding the delivering the beer, just see the animals. That's all I have to say.
Last week, the latest copy of the newsletter should have been out and received by everyone, and so...
I've had people comment on how much they enjoy that newsletter, and they appreciate the information in it, and they particularly like to know those trash pickup dates. So
That's all I have.
And the only thing I have to say is, since we met last, we had our first lunch with the mayor, And I like to think it was successful. We had over 35 people that showed up that day, including some representatives from our elementary schools and from the MEC program, which reminds me, MEC said they're going to try to bring their students here, I think, to our September 9th meeting. They're actually excited. One of the young ladies asked to sit on the task force with the dog park with Chris Williams. And so excited about that. I'm like Mr. Miller here, excited about the Clydesdales coming. I've canceled my class for that night. So
Can I have one more second?
of course.
Chad. Way back in the past, we had a deal about the plastic bags at the parks. I've had 4 or 5 people say that we need something there. So,
Well, if you recall, we put them out before.
Yeah.
And we did a 6-month test, and nobody ever took a single bag.
yeah, that's,
We can try it again. We don't have any opposition to that, but
I told them the people that pick up, and the people that don't will never will, so,
we'll have kids like come take the campground and envelopes sometimes, just scatter them to the wind.
yeah.
I think we don't want the same thing happen with those bags if they're not getting used.
I told them I'd bring it up, so,
We'll talk to you guys, see if you still have that. Dispenser.
yes.
And the only other thing I have is I've had a couple of people come up throughout the community about the grass notices and stuff, and still not understanding why some of them are getting them and others aren't, and just, But I think we've heard those complaints before, so, but wanted to bring that back up. If there's any way that we can try to, I don't know. Because I know.
If they have a specific address, let us know, but as far as when it gets to a height, it doesn't matter. Everybody gets them. The question is, does everybody adhere to them? And, I want to say, was it just a week or so ago, I think there was 112 notices that went out just that week alone. And so, and we usually have, 90% compliance usually? And then you have that other 10% sometimes that needs that second reminder, and sometimes they even have to see the municipal court judge, so.
I had, in Summer's defense, she had sent out one to somebody, and they asked me about it. And she said, "Why don't you go behind my house?" So I went behind her house, and her neighbor's grass was taller than what hers was. But her neighbor had a fence, and the front yard was immaculate. Yeah, I said, "That's your reason right there. If Summer doesn't go in people's backyards, if she can see it up the street." So I took up for Summer that day.
I just said I would bring it up, so. Anyone else? Now for the public comments.
20 acres.
Hi, my name's Joshua Price. I live at 116 Mary Street, and since you guys recently voted on the medical marijuana ordinance, I was curious as to your guys' personal stance on it, and how do you think it'll affect the community?
Personal stance as to what?
On medical marijuana being legal.
Where are you starting?
I wasn't at the meeting, so yeah.
I didn't vote for it. If you want somebody to start, I didn't vote for it. And I talked to one particular doctor here in town. He said he could prescribe medical marijuana if it needed to be. So he didn't understand why we needed it. How will it affect our town?
Yeah.
I don't know. Who knows? We're going to get all this tax money from it, right, Bruce? I don't think it's, in my opinion, it's not our best deal.
Well, it's probably come on my age, but I didn't vote for it either when it came around in the state ballot. And I certainly, feel sorry for people who are enduring a lot of pain, but or other problems. But on the other hand, times are changing. As far as this particular thing, I'm a little concerned that the whole thing is going to bring some issues to Mexico that nobody's thought of yet, and we're going to be dealing with some things, and along with our public safety and law enforcement And as far as the tax thing goes, I don't, there's already provisions in there that says we're not going to get a lot of taxes from it. So that's my thinking on it.
Then for my statement here, I went with Bruce and Rita and Marcy and Chief Rocket. My concern with medical marijuana isn't so much of its value and its use. It's the legislation that we passed is very iffy and leaves a lot to be desired. And when you start looking at some of the other states who have passed it, some of the issues that are coming across and that are beginning to surface. So that's the concerns that we have. With anything, if it was a perfect world and everything could go the right way, it would be ideal. Because anything that is going to reduce pain, not be as addictive as some of the opioids and stuff, I think it should be utilized. However, I'm very cautious about this legislation that is passed or what went into it. I think there's just so many things that they're still kind of trying to figure out.
Well, one of the problems when you pass something's an initiative petition like this was, you have to remember, and I vote nearly for every initiative, against every initiative petition that ever is on the ballot. But one thing that happens, although we in Missouri are allowed to do initiative petition, one thing that happens is that it just doesn't go through the normal procedure where you have discussion of the bill, you have debate on the bill, you have committee work on the bill. So a lot of issues that are written in the bill that may cause us problems have not been really addressed maybe as deeply and thoroughly and as thoughtfully as they should have when it does not go through that legislative process.
Okay.
So.
And if I would have voted, I would have probably voted against it, so.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
I move we adjourn into executive session pursuant to the revised statute of Missouri 610-021.
Briggs,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Shippers.
Yes.